Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the monthly status catch-up call that we do for Startup Maryland. For those of you that have joined us in the past, thank you for continuing to stay up to date with us and active with us as Startup Maryland. For those of you that are new to the initiative and the ongoing update calls, welcome. What we do in the monthly call is usually held every third Tuesday of the month. We give you a little update on what we're doing at Startup Maryland as a group of entrepreneurs helping other entrepreneurs. And this month we wanted to focus. Nope. Looks like we've got a little feedback there.
I fixed it.
Oh, hey, Julie, how you doing?
I'm good.
So everybody, welcome Julie Lenzer-Kirk, who is the co-chair for Startup Maryland with me. And are you still traveling or back home in Columbia?
I am back home in Columbia for now.
Okay, I got you. Julie's always on the move if you're not aware of that. Welcome once again, everybody, for joining us. And for this edition of the Startup Maryland update call, we're probably going to focus a little bit more on two of our core focus areas. The Pitch Across Maryland 2.0, and hopefully you're seeing the screen at this point. We'll kind of walk you through a few slides and give you a little background on kind of what we did. If you weren't familiar with what we did, if you've been living under a rock for the last year and a half and didn't see the bus tour last year, and then some of the things that we're doing this year. We have announced the date window in September, so we'll go through that, and then a rough schedule of the tour stops that we're going to be doing. The other item, activity that we wanted to highlight just real quickly on this call, and we'll try to wrap it up in about 15 or 20 minutes, is the Bootcamp sessions that we're doing at Startup Maryland called Raise Your Game. And we put a press release out about the program. We have some very exciting news to announce in the next week and a half about our kickoff session in July. A very high-profile entrepreneur has agreed to kind of help us kick off the Bootcamp. So watch this space for more information on that front. But Julie, why don't you give a little snapshot of kind of what we're doing with Pitch Across Maryland 2.0. Essentially, gang, it's going to be along the same format of last year, with the bus wrapped in the Maryland Pride theme and the video studio on the back. But with a little bit more time to plan, we've got 6 months this year instead of 6 weeks to plan. We're actively reaching out to the potential tour stop partners and also corporate sponsors to really mobilize the activity around each tour stop this year. So, Julie, why don't you give a little snapshot from your perspective?
Sure. As Mike said, we've got a little bit extra time. It's been interesting because once we made the announcement a couple weeks ago, we've had people reaching out to us that were not engaged in the first one, which is good. Of course, the people who were engaged are also interested. So we think it will definitely be bigger and better. And entrepreneurs as well have been reaching out saying, yeah, I already want to go pitch. So some of the things that we're hoping to do a little bit, add to it, I guess, this year is maybe looking at having more investors/entrepreneurs on board to do some office hours. Scott Cates did that in Baltimore last year, and it was really well received. So we're looking at ways we can do more of that. Mike has been working with the folks at the New York Stock Exchange. So there's possibility of taking the bus up to New York and ringing the opening bell on the stock exchange, which would be fun. And so we would figure out how to pick or take applications for folks who want to make that trip, or somehow to make it big fun, show them that Maryland's in the house.
Exactly.
Around that. And so we took it from 2.5 weeks. We added it's 3 weeks now. I don't know, Mike, what else? We're still looking for ideas.
Yeah, and the one thing, gang, that we wanted to really invite people to think about, if you were involved with a tour stop last year, obviously the folks who were involved last year kind of have, first right of refusal for a stop in their backyard. So it's just, we wanted to kind of level set on that and make sure everybody understands that the folks that have been involved last year and really got involved with version 1, an unknown entity like a bus tour across the state, we're going to give them a nod and the opportunity to participate again. But we're actually really encouraging each tour stop to be co-hosted by a number of organizations. We have so many good resources and so many organizations that have a rich perspective and play in the entrepreneur ecosystem, that we really do want universities and incubators and county economic development offices and even the chambers to get involved this year and really co-host each tour stop. And I brought up this picture of the Annapolis stop that we did last year at the, on the Capitol steps. You know, it would have been great to have us come, and we had great participation from the Annapolis EDC with Laura Fritz and the team there and the folks from Anne Arundel County. But we also reached out to the school system. So we had 200 plus students from the STEM program in Anne Arundel County come and join us. So that was part of making that tour stop more than just the bus showing up. And that's really what we want to do, both reaching out to the entrepreneurs who are now participating with Startup Maryland as champions for the initiative, really rolling up their sleeves and getting involved with the programmatic side of what we're doing with Startup Maryland, but also for the others that are involved as service providers or corporate sponsors or the economic development agencies. Really make it more than just the bus stop. So we had a handful of stops that did like a pre-pitch in the weeks and months leading up to the tour, where they maybe recruited 25 or 30 entrepreneurs that could potentially pitch. At each tour stop, we're still going to be limited to about 5 to 7 actual pitches. So we're probably going to need some qualification help from the tour stop leaders. So that's a good way to reach out to your entrepreneurs, but also the sponsor community and get them involved with the coaching and the mentorship side of Startup Maryland early and often as they're getting ready for the tour. And then they'll basically be on board to help you co-host that tour stop. So a lot of you have reached out and kind of asked to bring the tour to your door. Some of the things that we're going to be doing now is really getting in touch with the different folks who've reached out as tour stop leaders. Talk to you a little bit about, you know, there's some logistics that we want to help people understand what's involved with being a host of a tour stop, how to reach out and mobilize the co-host community and the sponsor community. We're also being approached by corporates, so we want to basically match make with a tour stop location with a corporate sponsor that may have affinity for that region or an industry sector that's going to be well represented. So some of that's going to be one-to-one. We're also onboarding our project planning group that's going to be helping us. They were the team that helped us last year. We planned U-Party, and they did a great job. Michelle Palmer and the team have really rolled up their sleeves and helped us kind of, you know, improve on the process a little bit. So we're going to be meeting with them a little bit later today and really starting in earnest the outreach to the tour stop partners. But really, the main aspects of the tour are the bus, obviously. It's all about celebrating Maryland Pride. That theme that we announced earlier this year of Maryland's Unfair Advantage is going to be programmatically involved with everything that we're doing around the messaging. We really want to promote and use it as a recruitment tool for bringing some of the entrepreneurs outside of the state in, because we have such great resources here in Maryland. Entrepreneur rallies at each tour stop, the video pitching and the competition, we'll be doing that again. Probably you know, a little bit different approach on that front, but we'll talk about that in later months. And then the who, you know, who are we trying to reach out to? Well, obviously with the celebration side of one of our big ideas, storytelling is a big part of that. So the 168 companies that pitched last year, we hope to get that a little closer to 200 or more. And we want to bring your story out to not only the public, but also the media in the region that are hungry for good business stories or startup stories or Maryland industry and how things are happening at the early stages. Here's just kind of a snapshot of the tour route that we're taking and the rough dates that we plan to be in different locations. All of this information is up on the website, so if you go to startupmaryland.org, startupmd, or startupmarylandwrittenOut.org, and click on what's new, you can see the press release announcing the tour route and the date. We've basically broken it down by rough location descriptions, and then we're working, as we mentioned, with the potential co-hosts for each stop. So if you're interested in kind of aligning with one of the tour stops, reach out to us. We'll make a connection with others who have expressed interest in that, and then also working with Michelle Palmer and the team. We really want to make sure it's a cohesive effort, and we have as many players involved with organizing each tour stop. We think that density aspect is really going to be the next value proposition that we can bring through the tour. As far as sponsors, we'll provide a little bit more information on that. There are some costs involved with just logistically bringing the tour to the door, as we call it. We believe that this could actually be a moneymaker for anybody involved as co-host. So we want to walk folks through that as early as we can. and then also start mobilizing around ways to defray the cost, reaching out to corporate sponsors, economic development offices, other avenues that you might have for raising funds. So we have signature sponsors that are kind of big brands that are getting involved, tour sponsors, and then tour partners are really the folks that are going to host a tour stop, and we'll provide more detail on that to folks that are interested. We are going to basically require some payment up front to avoid some of the accounting challenges that we had last year. So we expect anybody that wants to step up as a tour co-host to be pretty much paid up by the 4th of July or mid-July timeframe, just so we can plan other activities associated with the tour that might be cost factors into each tour stop as we're mapping that out. Working, once again, very closely with our team leaders from We Plan You Party. Julie, anything I missed on the tour there? Any thoughts you have or perspective on kind of how to make it more of a media showcase and some of the storytelling aspects of it?
No, I mean, I don't have anything off the top of my head. I think that the bus and what more importantly, the businesses that come on the bus really sell it. And so we'll be, leaning heavily on our tour partners to help with that. But I think also because of the buzz that was generated last year, it should not be hard to get additional eyes on it this year. I do know that from a media perspective, any feedback, folks who participated with the tour last year who found benefit or found connections or found some positive outcome from their experience or interacting with the Startup Maryland or the Pitch Across Maryland, we would love to hear that, because that will help us then also to secure more corporate sponsors, and because they're saying, well, what happened last year, and we're really trying to keep the fees for the tour partners down as much as we can by offsetting it with corporate sponsors. So any stories that you have that would be good, we have a couple of really strong ones, but shoot them to Mike and I.
Absolutely, and that was definitely a good point to add there, because we have started to do that reach out, and to be honest with you, many of the entrepreneurs have reached out themselves. Trying to see if Ray Cooper's on the call today. He's usually a good standby in the monthly, but Ray had a really good story around how why he decided to pitch. It was kind of on a whim. It was the last day of the tour, and by doing that, he made great connections, primarily starting with Robbie Melton at Tedco. And then it led to a handoff to Prince George's County Economic Development Office, and basically they recruited him into their incubator. And there he is getting ready to do a ribbon cutting here this month, I believe, or within the next month. And he's on his way. He's been introduced to mentors. He's in line for working capital and financing to do a prototype of his new wind turbine designs and intellectual property. So within a fairly short period of time, 6 to 9 months, he's really executing on his business plan at a level that he probably, he'll be pretty forthright in telling you that he probably was looking at 1.5 to 2 years before he really would be getting to that level. So that's a case study that we're going to be pointing to, an example of how we hope this can breed some good connections and really help some of the startups inflect their business plan and move it forward quickly. So that kind of leads us to the next topic that we wanted to hit, which is the Raise Your Game Bootcamp. What I pulled up on the screen here is just an Eventbrite invitation or registration link that we'll be sending out probably later this week, either tomorrow, maybe later today, that is announcing the different levels that you can kind of participate in the Raise Your Game Bootcamp. For those of you who haven't joined us, once again, the Raise Your Game Bootcamp was pretty much our play on helping entrepreneurs learn what they need to grow good, strong startup companies or high-growth potential companies. And during the champion sessions that we had, and it was co-facilitated by the national team at Startup America earlier this year, a couple of things bubbled up to the top as far as the key building blocks for growing your company and really being a good candidate for an exit, financing, or just growing a solid business. So CEO 101, how to become a good, strong leader of a startup, starting it up, best practices when forming your company, how to avoid pitfalls, planning for financial success, all the way from capitalization tables to accounting structures, financial models, virtualizing your company, how do you use a lean startup approach or outsourcing non-core functions to other organizations, a go-to-market strategy, sales, marketing, channel, and distribution development, and then raising capital and road mapping for an exit. How do you basically build your company through the life cycle stages that investors are looking for, or potential acquirers are looking for, or potential partners, and moving it forward? The difference in what we're doing with Raise Your Game is there's a lot of boot camps out there. There's a lot of day-long events that you could do. We're stretching it out over a 6-month period. We're going to do one session a month on the third Thursday in the evening, 6 to 9 p.m. We're going to focus on those 6 topics, and the sessions are going to be led by serial entrepreneurs. Many of the well-recognized entrepreneur names that you see in the media eye that are growing businesses, exiting businesses. We've recruited them in as champions of Startup Maryland to also lead these sessions under the Raise Your Game Bootcamp. As I mentioned, we're going to have a major announcement with the person who's going to be taking on the first session in July, the CEO 101. Somebody you'll all be familiar with, a brand name, and getting FaceTime with this level of entrepreneur doesn't happen very often, certainly in a private cloistered session. So that's a good value proposition right out of the gate. And the strength of the docket and the instructors for the rest of the programs through the end of the year is at a similar caliber. So we just wanted to let you know that keep an eye open for the Eventbrite listing the different levels of participation. We kind of have 3 levels of tickets that you can purchase. Going Pro is what we call kind of the top level. That's if you want to subscribe for the whole 6-month program. We internalized a lot and talked to a lot of the champions about what's a good price number for folks to get involved with. Many of them said they would pay much more than $1,000. Many of them said, kind of under $1,000 would be the threshold. So we're starting at $750, all expenses and fees included. For the Go Pro, that's basically joining us for all 6 months of the program. The varsity level, we're going to give you a chance to kind of absorb 2 sessions, any 2 sessions that you choose. You won't be qualified for probably the most valuable aspect of the Raise Your Game Bootcamp, which is the Alumni Network. We're basically going to be cultivating an alumni group of the entrepreneurs that participate to be available to help each other out with answering questions, mentorship, guiding you through the next step of your growth of your company. Only the Going Pro and folks that join us for 5 of the 6 sessions will have access to that alumni group. Trust me, that is probably the most valuable aspect of this whole endeavor. At the rookie level, we're basically giving you a shot to join us for the first session only. You could certainly then decide to upgrade to the full session after that, but the rookie session is really for folks that's just maybe in the idea stage, but want to understand what we're going to be doing, and you can join us for that first session on July. Looks like it's going to be 25th, but that's not set in stone. So I just wanted to let you guys know, keep an eye out for this Eventbrite coming through. Some more information, such as a press release in the next week about the host and the person who's going to be kicking off that first session, and talking to be a strong speaker. We will keep you informed as to who that is, and look for that information coming out in the next week or so. Julie, with that, I mean, that was really the main 2 topics that we kind of wanted to hit here, trying to keep it within that 20, 25-minute period. I think we're right up on that. If there are any questions that you have as attendees right now, we'll take any that you have via that chat session that we use on a monthly basis. So feel free to chime in with a question real quick. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up, look for more information, and be connecting with folks on the Pitch Across Maryland over the next weeks, months, to really get the tour stops nailed down and get the teams working on making it more than just the bus showing up, and really an event around the tour stop. Doesn't look like we have any questions coming in, Julie. Any final thoughts?
Nope, I'm good. Looking forward to it.
Well, thanks, everybody. We appreciate your support, your participation, and particularly for the champions that have stepped up and rolled up the sleeves on the different programs that we're doing. We couldn't do it without you, and we're very fortunate to have you guys engaged this year as we move forward on key programs. Thanks again, everybody.